It has gone down in history as one of the most controversial executions to ever take place in the United States, and the question as to how guilty they really were continues to this very day. Hello everyone, my name is Anya, and in this video we're going to take a look at what happened on this day in the year 1953, the executions of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg. The 1950s marked the early years of the Cold War between the United States of America and the Soviet Union. Many people living in the United States were suspected of passing on atomic secrets to the USSR. One such person who was convicted of this was a man by the name of David Greenglass. Greenglass, along with his wife Ruth, were arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to commit espionage. In interviews with the FBI, Greenglass admitted to being involved in espionage and said he had been brought into it by his brother-in-law, Julius Rosenberg. Rosenberg, a communist, lived in New York with his wife Ethel and their 2 young sons. In July 1950, Julius Rosenberg was arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to commit espionage. Just 1 month later, Ethel Rosenberg was also arrested after testifying before a grand jury that she knew nothing of her husband's activities. Ethel and Julius Rosenberg were both brought before a grand court, and they denied any involvement in passing on atomic secrets to the Soviet Union. David Greenglass testified against his sister and his brother-in-law, saying that Julius had brought him into the espionage group and that Ethel had typed up documentation to pass on to the Soviet Union. In exchange for his testimony, David Greenglass received a 15-year prison sentence, of which he ultimately served 9.5 years. All charges against his wife Ruth were later dropped. On the 29th of March 1951, both Ethel and Julius Rosenberg were found guilty of conspiracy to commit espionage and passing on atomic secrets to the Soviet Union. Controversially, they were both then sentenced to death by electrocution. The fact that a married couple with 2 young sons could be sentenced to death by electrocution caused quite a bit of shock across the United States. There were some that said that if the Rosenbergs were indeed guilty of espionage, they could have gotten a far less harsher sentence than death. Regardless, the sentence was upheld. And on the 19th of June 1953, both Ethel and Julius Rosenberg were brought to Sing Sing prison to be sentenced to death in the electric chair. Both executions were originally scheduled for 11 p.m. at night during the Sabbath. However, because the Rosenbergs were a Jewish couple, the executions were brought forward to 8 p.m. just before the Sabbath was to take place. Julius Rosenberg was the first to die in the electric chair at just 35 years of age. Ethel Rosenberg's execution did not go as smoothly. It's said that it took 5 electric shocks before she was finally declared dead at just 37 years of age. The Rosenbergs were later buried in Wellwood Cemetery in New York. Over the years, the question as to how guilty both Ethel and Julius Rosenberg really were has come under debate. David Greenglass later recanted his testimony against his sister, claiming that it could have possibly been his wife that typed up the information, but he wasn't 100% sure. However, he said that he testified against his sister in order to protect his wife. He said that he put his wife above not only his sister and brother-in-law, but also his parents. He said that she was the mother of his children and he put her before everyone else. In 2008, documentation relating to the Rosenbergs' trial was released to the public. This documentation pointed to Julius's guilt of espionage. However, the question as to how much Ethel really knew of her husband's activities continues to this day. The Rosenbergs' 2 sons, Michael and Robert Meeropol, who were 10 and 6 at the time of their parents' deaths, have campaigned relentlessly for their mother's posthumous exoneration. While they have accepted that their father was guilty of espionage, they said that their mother was only vaguely aware of her husband's activities and was not a spy. Regardless, the executions of Ethel and Julius Rosenberg will go down in history as one of the most controversial executions to ever take place in the history of the United States. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. My name is Anya, and we just looked at what happened on this day.